Previously on The Chosen People.
No games, Jacob. Tell me what you've been scheming.
I don't scheme, I prepare. Scheming makes me sound so villainous. I love this family, and I would never jeopardize it for my own gain.
When you go in there, do not play like a child. Be a man and seize what's yours. And when you finally have it, accept whatever comes after with courage.
Esau?
Yes, I have done as you told me and killed deer. Eat my game and bless me.
May God give you the dew of heaven, the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. May people and nations bow down to you and serve you. You will be Lord over your brothers, and your mother's son will bend a knee to you.
The words were a final seal, a decisive declaration that Jacob was now the inheritor of Isaac's promise, passed down from Abraham. Through Jacob, the blessing of God Most High would endure.
I will hunt and kill him like the stag.
Esau stormed out of the tent and looked around, his eyes narrowed with a hunter's intensity. He grabbed his bow and arrow, searching frantically for his twin. Panic jabbed at Jacob's legs. He was shaking, agitated, ready to run.
What do I do, Mother? What do I do, Mother? What do I do, Mother? Tell me what to do.
Flee to Laban, my brother in Haran. You can stay with him until your brother's fury dulls. Maybe with time he'll forget what you've done to him.
The Chosen People is sponsored by Netwell. Healthcare costs are rising, and it can feel overwhelming. But at Netwell, we believe there's a better way. Imagine being the part of a community, a family where people just like you share medical expenses. With Netwell, you get affordable care without the burden of surprise bills or sky-high premiums. We're more than traditional healthcare sharing. We offer access to trusted providers, telemedicine, dental, and mental health services. Your well-being is our priority, and we're here for you like family. Join the Netwell family today at netwell.com. Affordable care, trusted community, your health, your way.
In a barren land with just a stone for a pillow, Jacob's eyes opened on a stairway to heaven. Shalom, my friends, from here in the Holy Land of Israel. I'm Yael Eckstein with International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, and welcome to The Chosen People. In each episode, we'll hear dramatic stories inspired by the Bible, stories filled with timeless lessons of faith, love, and the meaning of life. Through Israel's story, we find this truth, that we are all chosen for something great. Has this podcast blessed you? I want to ask you a favor, to follow this podcast so that you never miss an episode. And if you're interested in hearing how the fellowship is impacting millions of people around the world, saving lives, helping to bring biblical prophecy to fruition, visit ifcj.org. Now, let's begin. Have you ever found yourself lost in the wilderness of life? Wandering, searching for something real, something profound, something divine. Today, we'll meet such a wanderer and a searcher, a man on the run, his heart pounding, his destiny unclear. He lays down his head on earth's rocky ground and dreams of heaven. What does it mean to encounter the divine in the middle of everyday life? Can a single night, a single dream alter the course of history? Jacob's story in Genesis 28, 1-22 explores exactly these questions. It's a tale of running from the past and stumbling into the future, where the ordinary stone becomes an altar and a fugitive finds himself in the very presence of his Father in heaven. as we say in Hebrew, Avinu Shebashamayim.
This holiday season, surprise everyone on your list with the best gifts. Tickets to see their favorite artists live. Choose from thousands of concerts and comedy shows, including Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Matt Matthews, Metallica, Thomas Rhett, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Sarah Silverman, and so many more. Share a memory together or give a gift they'll never forget. Find the most exciting gift for every fan at livenation.com/gifts. That's livenation.com/gifts.
The following ad is sponsored by Pets Best Insurance Services. Your pet is your bestie, your therapist, your preferred match. It's easy to love them, even when they sneak your snacks. It's easy to protect them, too, with pet insurance coverage from Pets Best. Because it's all fun and games until they chew on something they shouldn't. With perfect timing, Pets Best helps protect your furry friend and your budget from this imperfect world. Get up to 90% on eligible vet bills for less than $1 a day. Find your perfect match at PetsBest.com. Pet insurance products offered and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC, are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company or Independence American Insurance Company. For all terms, visit PetsBest.com/policy.
So many of us believe in something far beyond ourselves. And now there's a special place for us, Fox Faith on Fox Nation, with exclusive original premium content that lifts us up, sustains our spirit, and fills us with hope. Exciting series like God, Family, Football. Martin Scorsese presents The Saints, streaming November 17th, and Jesus, Crown of Thorns, streaming December 8th. Fox Faith is only available by subscribing to Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com and sign up today.
Jacob trudged through the wilderness, the weight of his past sins heavy upon his shoulders. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the barren landscape. He was alone, save for the quiet whispers of the wind and the occasional rustle of leaves underfoot. Each step seemed to echo the turmoil in his heart.
I have the birthright, yet no tent to dwell in or food in my belly. I have the blessing, but I'm trampling on dirt instead of lying in bed.
Each step was a rhythmic reminder of the betrayal that had driven him from his father's house. Jacob didn't blame Esau for his anger. However, he refused to let the threat of death stall his ascent. Jacob may not have been the bear his brother was, but he was no pushover. His legs were sturdy as he traversed the desert path to Haran. He walked with defiant force, murmuring under his breath intentions for greatness.
I refuse to let this break me. I will thrive in Laban's household. I'll return richer and wiser, ready to take back what's mine from my brother.
As night fell, the air grew cold and the sky darkened, a velvet blanket strewn with stars. Jacob's weary eyes scanned the horizon, seeking a place of rest. His journey had been long, and his body ached with exhaustion. There wasn't a torchlight for miles, no town or city set upon a hill to seek refuge. He was alone, wholly and utterly alone. Wolves howled in the distance, causing Jacob's legs to tingle with unrest. He shook his head and gripped his auburn curls tightly.
What am I doing here? Is this even the right thing to do? Have I messed all this up before it even had a chance to begin?
There was no response from the skies or whispers of comfort in the wind. Jacob shook his head in resignation. He was weary from the journey, eyes heavy with melancholy and physical exhaustion. The sky overhead was a vast, unending expanse of deep indigo, flecked with countless stars that glittered like shards of ice. A crescent moon hung low in the sky, its pale light casting eerie shadows upon the ground, illuminating the jagged silhouettes of the distant mountains that framed the horizon. Jacob looked out from the dimly lit hill on which he stood. His grandfather called this place Luz. It was a site that bore the scars of time and conflict, its stones weathered and worn by centuries of wind and rain. The history of Luz was etched into the very landscape, a silent record of the peoples who had passed through, each leaving their mark in the form of scattered cairns and ancient weather-beaten carvings. In the days of Jacob's ancestors, this land had been a crossroads for traders and nomads alike. The ancient paths that wound through the hills were once traveled by caravans laden with goods from far-off lands, spices from the east, precious metals from the south, and grains from the north. The trade routes brought commerce, stories, and traditions, weaving a rich tapestry of cultural heritage that lingered in the air like an unseen mist. But despite its storied past, Luz had fallen into relative obscurity by Jacob's time, overshadowed and forgotten. Jacob wondered if Abraham's promise had fallen to the same fate. Would the greatness of Abraham's lineage end with him? Finding a smooth, flat stone, he placed it beneath his head and lay down to rest. As he lay upon the hard, unforgiving ground, Jacob's mind was a tumult of thoughts and fears. The stone beneath his head was cold and unyielding, but it was also strangely comforting, grounding him in the reality of his journey and the trials yet to come. He was caught between past and future, between the weight of his sins and the promise of redemption. In this liminal space, he drifted into a deep, dream-laden sleep, the world around him fading into the background as the vision unfolded. The night around Jacob seemed to thicken, the shadows deepening until they were almost tangible. The air grew still, an expectant hush falling over the landscape, broken only by the soft, rhythmic susurration of the wind through the rocky crags and the distant hoot of an owl. Jacob opened his eyes to a vision. He found himself standing at the base of a monumental staircase that stretched upwards into the infinite expanse of the heavens. The staircase was constructed of a stone so smooth and luminous that it seemed to glow from within, each step bathed in a soft golden light that shimmered like the surface of a tranquil sea under the moonlight. The steps, though solid, appeared almost ethereal, as if they were fashioned from pure light and divine essence.
What is this?
Jacob stepped forward, drawn to the light of the staircase and the holy glow that emanated from the top. Jacob knew very little about what he was seeing, but he knew he wanted to be at the top of that staircase. He inched forward, only to be drawn back by a holy procession of angels. A faint celestial music, like the sound of distant bells or the harmonious chords of a lyre, filled the air, mingling with the faint whisper of angelic voices that spoke in a language beyond human understanding. The air itself seemed to hum with a sacred energy, vibrating with the resonance of countless prayers and ancient hymns. Angels moved gracefully along the staircase, ascending and descending with a serene purpose. Their forms were radiant, clothed in robes of light that flowed like liquid silver. Each angel bore a unique visage, their expressions a blend of serenity and wisdom, their eyes aglow with an inner fire that bespoke their celestial origin. They moved with an effortless grace, their wings barely stirring the air, leaving trails of luminescent sparks in their wake. The light pulsed, and wisps of living color descended down with the angels. Its brilliance nearly blinded Jacob. As he beheld this wondrous sight, a profound awe and humility swept over him. His heart pounded in his chest, not from fear, but from the overwhelming sense of being in the presence of God Most High. His legs trembled, and he felt the urge to fall to his knees. Fear, awe, and anticipation welled within him. He turned to the ground, hiding his face from the light and wonder.
Am I going to die or turn to gold? It seems like each is possible at this point.
Then a warmth spread through him, starting from his core and radiating outward, filling him with a sense of peace and an unshakable certainty that he was not alone. Jacob peered up. There, standing right beside him, stood a vision of God Most High. He spoke to Jacob. His voice was unlike any Jacob had ever heard. It was a voice encompassing the roar of the ocean and the whisper of the wind, the crackle of a mighty fire, and the gentle rustling of leaves. It resonated through the very marrow of Jacob's bones, a sound that was once thunderous and soothing, now commanding and comforting.
I am the existing one, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac.
You're here. You're really here.
Look around you, son of Isaac. Behold the splendor of this land.
Jacob surveyed the starlit landscape. The radiance of the staircase illuminated its rich and vibrant valleys cut with rushing rivers and lush forests.
The land on which you lie, I will give to you and your descendants. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. Through you and your descendants, all families of the earth will be blessed.
So you have blessed me. I didn't know if... I wasn't sure if you...
Jacob's words were caught in his throat. He wrestled with feelings of assurance in God and doubt in himself. Deep down, he knew he was a deceiver, a trickster who stole his blessing. In some ways, it surprised Jacob to receive such a blessing from God himself.
Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go. Though you leave, I will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised.
Just then, Jacob awoke with a start, his breath coming in short, sharp gasps. The memory of the vision lingered in his mind. He looked around him, surveying the land God promised him, not just his father and grandfather, not his brother Esau or his sons, him, Jacob.
God Most High was here, in this place, and I didn't even know it. He's been working and moving and dwelling here, right under my nose.
He rose to his feet and ran his hand over the smooth stone he used as a pillow.
How amazing is this place! This is the house of God, the gate of heaven itself.
Early that morning, before the rays of light painted the valley, Jacob arose with fervor. He took the stone and set it up as a pillar. He poured oil over the stone and consecrated it as a holy place.
This place will no longer be called Luz. That is the name my grandfather's people gave it. It's no longer theirs to name. As a keeper of the promise, I rename it Bethel, the house of God.
Jacob turned his cheek to the rising sun, basking in its warmth. He raised his hands in the air.
Hear me, existing one, the God of Abraham and Isaac. If you will be with me, keep me wherever I go, and give me enough bread and clothing to survive so I can depart in peace, then you shall be my God too. Let this monument stand as a testament between us, that you are not just the God of my forefathers, you are the God of Jacob.
This holiday season, surprise everyone on your list with the best gifts. Tickets to see their favorite artists live. Choose from thousands of concerts and comedy shows, including Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Matt Matthews, Metallica, Thomas Rhett, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Sarah Silverman, and so many more. Share a memory together or give a gift they'll never forget. Find the most exciting gift for every fan at livenation.com/gifts. That's livenation.com/gifts.
The following ad is sponsored by Pets Best Insurance Services. Your pet is your bestie, your therapist, your preferred match. It's easy to love them, even when they sneak your snacks. It's easy to protect them, too, with pet insurance coverage from Pets Best. Because it's all fun and games until they chew on something they shouldn't. With perfect timing, Pets Best helps protect your furry friend and your budget from this imperfect world. Get up to 90% on eligible vet bills for less than $1 a day. Find your perfect match at petsbest.com. Pet insurance products offered and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC, are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company or Independence American Insurance Company. For all terms, visit petsbest.com/policy.
So many of us believe in something far beyond ourselves. And now there's a special place for us, Fox Faith on Fox Nation, with exclusive original premium content that lifts us up, sustains our spirit, and fills us with hope. Exciting series like God, Family, Football. Martin Scorsese presents The Saints, streaming November 17th, and Jesus, Crown of Thorns, streaming December 8th. Fox Faith is only available by subscribing to Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com and sign up today.
When my Abba, my father, Rabbi Yael Eckstein, embarked on the journey to build the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, many people of faith judged him. Many misjudged him. They questioned his motives and they doubted his mission. But my Abba pressed on, his head bowed and his faith steadfast in the calling he knew was from God. He continued on. In those early years, the criticism was often very sharp, and the words hurt him deeply. But even as the fellowship flourished and respect began to pour in from all corners, what I saw was that my father never lost his profound humility. Those trying times in the beginning taught him that success was not of his own doing. It was a blessing from God. In this week's cinematic Bible story, we encounter Jacob's dream. He dreams of a ladder, its base firm upon the earth, its summit touching the heavens. Many interpretations arise from this vision, but one stands clear. God revealed to Jacob that the way to heaven begins with being grounded on earth. Yeah, you heard that right. How do we touch heaven? To be humble. We must be humble. This principle is echoed throughout the chosen people's tradition. In Psalm 37, David, once a humble shepherd boy, himself says, and I quote, "But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity." The sages taught us, and I quote, "He who is small is actually great." So today, as God's chosen people, let us all ask ourselves, how might we walk more humbly with him? This story doesn't just instruct us to be humble. It instructs us how to be more godly. Verse 12 describes the scene. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth with its top reaching the heaven. But Jewish tradition teaches that this also describes a godly person, someone who is grounded on the earth, but whose thoughts and prayers are in the heavens with God. We have our feet on the ground and our soul in the sky, and we have our prayers and our words and our heart to bridge it. A godly person doesn't have to be separated from this earthly reality. In fact, what we see from the scriptures is that it's the opposite. A godly person stands firmly on the earth, pursuing their earthly life, but that life is guided by their head, which is in the heavens with God. Now let's talk about Bethel, an actual place here in the Holy Land of Israel still today. In Hebrew, Bethel means house of God. Jacob's encounter at Bethel was a reminder that God's presence isn't confined to temples or holy places. No, we are reminded that God can meet us anywhere and everywhere, even in the middle of nowhere, even when we're running away, even when we're uncertain and scared and feel alone. We live in a world where the sacred and the secular are often seen as separate. We might go to church or synagogue each weekend, but the rest of the week belongs to us. We do what we want. But here's the thing that the scriptures teach us. Every situation has the potential to be a Bethel, a house of God. And every moment has the potential to be a divine encounter. God's presence isn't limited. God is everywhere, always, and we have to remember this. When Jacob set up that stone and named the place Bethel, he was saying, God is here. So I want to ask you, where are your Bethels? Where are those places where you've encountered God in a way that left you changed, that you can say, this is the house of the Lord? Let's all live like Jacob, recognizing God's presence in our everyday lives wherever we are. Let's go even deeper into Jacob's heavenly encounter with our good friend, Bishop Paul Lanier.
Thank you, Yael. I'm sitting here looking at my Bible. Well, actually, I've got two Bibles in front of me, and specifically, I'm staring at this Genesis chapter 28. And then we move to this part of Jacob going to Bethel. It's such a significant city. It's mentioned in your Bible more than any other city except Jerusalem. And there he's going to engage the angels. It's not his only time. Actually, we'll see it again in Genesis 32, verse 2, and Genesis 35, verse 1. And in this particular story, it was getting dangerous because he was traveling at night, and so he stopped to rest for a while. The Bible says that he took a stone. Oh, here we go. Took a stone, a rock, and placed it in that space, and he used it as a pillow. And when he put his head down and went to sleep, the eyes of his spirit man were opened, and he could see things that normally his eyes would not have seen if they were open. You know that God caused Adam to sleep a special sleep so that God could remove from his side his bride. Christians would even say that in Jesus he slept a special sleep, and that his bride, the church, came from his side. You know that Abraham was made to sleep a special sleep where God could prophesy into him and to say to him that from your nursery is coming a nation and they're going to be enslaved, but I'm going to deliver them, and all of that prophetic word. In the Christian scriptures, we find something really incredible. It's pivotal. It's consequential between Jesus and Peter. It's interesting. There was a moment when Jesus took his disciples to a filthy place, and it's called Caesarea Philippi. And Jesus asked his disciples, he basically said, look, you've spent time with the crowds. You've heard what they're saying, so you tell me, who do the people say that I am? Well, of course, Peter spoke up, and he said, well, some say you're Jeremiah, others say you're perhaps Elijah or the prophet. And what that means, as in the Gospel of John, the prophet, Moses was so renowned and revered, you didn't even have to say his name. You could just say the prophet, and everyone knew what you were talking about. And Jesus looked at Peter and said, but Peter, who do you say that I am? I don't know, I wasn't there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, just kind of move around a little bit and wrestling with that moment until he blurted it out. He said, I believe you are the Christ. Well, that's the Greek word for Messiah. You are Mashiach. Oh, my goodness. We've become so comfortable with these words as Christians, we don't even know how revolutionary, even absurd, blasphemous these words were. If those words had been heard by the wrong people, Rome would have crucified Peter with Jesus that day. Now we know that later on Peter is crucified upside down, but it's interesting that Peter was not the only one to make such a confession about you are the Messiah, you are the Son of a living God. Nathanael did this, and we'll see that in just a moment. And actually in John chapter 11, Lazarus' sister said basically the same thing. And Peter speaks this profound word, and Jesus says, let me tell you something, Peter. You didn't get this revelation by studying harder or listening to the conversations of people who are looking on social media. No. What you just said is a direct download from the throne room of heaven. It's revelation, not just information. And I want you to know something. I've had the garden. I've had Noah's Ark. I've had the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, and the tent of meeting, and ultimately the temple, 2 temples. But I'm telling you, I'm going to build something else called the church, not to replace, but to join. And it will be the final vehicle through which I will release the kingdom of God. And it will be, he said, upon this rock of revelation. What did Jacob have? He put his head on a rock. Here, Jesus says to Peter, upon this rock of revelation, I'm going to build my church. And he says, the gates of hell. Well, that's a unique phrase there that you find up in Caesarea Philippi, and I'm not going into that right now, but Jesus says that the gates of hell will not survive the onslaught of this extraordinary, offensive church who engages the glory of the Most High God. Well, let's get back to what was in Jacob's dream. In Genesis chapter 28, verse 12, it says that as Jacob slept, the eyes of his spirit man were open, and he saw a ladder, probably a stone stairway, ascending and descending, much like we would see later in the temple. And upon this ladder or staircase, you see angels ascending and descending. Now, again, I want to talk about messianic implications for Christians here from the New Testament. In John chapter 1, now this is heavy. John chapter 1, verse 51, Jesus says to one of his disciples, namely Nathanael, you're going to see something supernatural. The eyes of your spirit are going to be opened, and you're going to see the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. Whoa. This is huge. Jesus is saying, I am the ladder that Jacob saw. And the angels are ascending and descending upon me. What does that mean? He is saying, I am the mediator between heaven and humanity. You know, we're going to spend some more time later talking about portals, persons and peoples and places and points of time. We just don't have time to go there right now. But the thing that's so important to me and significant here is Jacob took that stone upon which he had received this revelation. He discerned the presence and the power of God and said, you know what? I've been in the presence of the Lord and I didn't even realize it. Well, that's happened to me before and probably to yourself. But he was intentional. He took that rock and he established it. He set it as important to himself, and he poured oil upon it. And in chapter 27, when he's talking to his father Isaac, Jacob refers to God. He says to his father Isaac, he says, your God. Your God, Father. But when we get to this chapter 28, verse 20, Jacob, in this really traumatic encounter with God, makes a promise, and he says, he makes this vow, really, and says, God, if you will guard me and protect me and provide for me and sustain me, and if you will bring me back to this space again, alive, I will tithe unto you everything I have. I told you this chapter 28 is fascinating, and I just pray the blessing of the Lord upon this word.
Jacob, alone and afraid, found God in his wilderness moment. And in that encounter, an ordinary place became extraordinary. When we feel lost and alone, God shows up. He doesn't wait for us to find our way to him. He comes to us right where we are. That's the beauty of our journey with God as his chosen people. Do you feel it? That he transforms our everyday paths into sacred journeys? Every step, no matter how uncertain, is part of his divine plan. And each moment, no matter how mundane, has the potential to become a divine encounter. So today, let's seek God's presence in every circumstance, every situation, every step we take. Let's look for him in the midst of our struggles and our joys, in our highs and our lows, in the ordinary and the extraordinary. Like Jacob, let's turn those ordinary places into Bethels, into places of God's faithfulness, his promises, his presence. And remember, my friends, you are never alone, even when it feels dark, even when it feels hard. I promise God is with you, walking beside you, guiding you, transforming you, and blessing you.
You can listen to The Chosen People with Yael Eckstein ad-free by downloading and subscribing to the pray.com app today. This pray.com production is only made possible by our dedicated team of creative talents. Steve Katina, Max Bard, Zach Schellebarger, and Ben Gammon are the executive producers of The Chosen People with Yael Eckstein, edited by Alberto Avila, narrated by Paul Coltofianu. Characters are voiced by Jonathan Cotton, Aaron Salvato, Sarah Seltz, Mike Reagan, Stephen Ringwald, Sylvia Zaradok, and the opening prayer is voiced by John Moore. Music by Andrew Morgan Smith. Written by Bree Roseley and Aaron Salvato. Special thanks to Bishop Paul Lanier, Robin Van Etten, Caleb Burrows, Jocelyn Fuller, and the team at International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. You can hear more Pray.com productions on the Pray.com app, available on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. If you enjoyed The Chosen People with Yael Eckstein, please rate and leave a review.
This holiday season, surprise everyone on your list with the best gifts. Tickets to see their favorite artists live. Choose from thousands of concerts and comedy shows, including Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Matt Matthews, Metallica, Thomas Rhett, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Sarah Silverman, and so many more. Share a memory together, or give a gift they'll never forget. Find the most exciting gift for every fan at livenation.com/gifts. That's livenation.com/gifts.
So many of us believe in something far beyond ourselves. And now there's a special place for us, Fox Faith on Fox Nation, with exclusive original premium content that lifts us up, sustains our spirit, and fills us with hope. Exciting series like God, Family, Football. Martin Scorsese presents The Saints, streaming November 17th, and Jesus, Crown of Thorns, streaming December 8th. Fox Faith is only available by subscribing to Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com and sign up today.
Hey, I'm here to tell you about Up Faith and Family, the leading streaming service for uplifting entertainment. This Christmas, cozy up with the ones you love and experience movies that inspire and bring people together. Watch Festival of Trees, where holiday competition leads to unexpected friendships, or the heartwarming family movie A Bluegrass Christmas. And don't miss our special virtual Christmas Fest event on Monday, November 25th. Meet stars from these movies like Aaron Bethea, Franco Lopresti, Emily Alatalo, and Sean Johnson as they answer fan questions live and share holiday memories. It's all commercial free and you can stream anywhere. Plus, it's just a fraction of the cost of other services. Start your free trial today and experience the magic of Christmas. Visit upfaithandfamily.com.